In the wake of recent mass shootings, the predictable happened. Democrats rushed to the TV cameras to sanctimoniously blame the guns. Meanwhile, Republican leadership started calculating which of our rights they could bargain away. And overall, shallow politicians were desperate to show us that they were doing something. Anything. Yes, something should be done, but not something that fails to accomplish anything meaningful. The first thing we need to do is to tell the truth about guns in America. And that means untelling the lies that the left has been spreading for years about guns. Lie number one is that America is uniquely plagued by mass shootings. Every mass shooting is a tragedy, but it is made worse by the media when the media exploits it for viewers, and by the politicians when they exploit it for votes. Yes, Americans do have more guns than citizens of other countries, but we do not have more mass shootings. No one has studied this issue more thoroughly than has author and economist John Lott Jr., and he found that America ranks 64th out of 97 countries in mass shootings per capita. Yes, America could do better, but not by lying to the public about the size of the problem. Lie number two is that expanded background checks would stop mass shootings. This lie is particularly misleading in the wake of the El Paso and Dayton shootings. That's because both of the shooters actually passed background checks and purchased their firearms legally. So the expanded background checks proposed by the Democrats in the House of Representatives would have done nothing to stop the shootings. Although existing background checks serve a purpose, the problem is that the shooters either pass the background checks or they find ways around them. So expanding the background checks wouldn't accomplish anything in stopping these shootings, but it would make it much more difficult for law-abiding gun owners to transfer or to loan guns to friends and family. Lie number three is that gun-free zones work. Democrats seem to believe that a plastic sign on the door saying no guns allowed will actually work. This is worse than fantasy. It's actually an invitation to disaster. The data make this clear. Since 1950, fully 98% of mass shootings have occurred in places where citizens are banned from having guns to protect themselves. That's because the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. And the bad guys know this, even if the liberals don't. Lie number four is that AR-style rifles are preferred by mass shooters. The left hates AR-style rifles because they look scary. The facts, however, tell a different story. The Congressional Research Service studied mass shootings over a 15-year period and found that AR-style rifles were used in only 9.8% of them. And that shouldn't be surprising, because unlike handguns, AR-style rifles are difficult to conceal. The notion that banning this type of firearm would put a serious dent in mass shootings is something only a Democrat politician could believe. Lie number five is that smart guns are the answer. Joe Biden recently told this lie on the campaign trail. He said that if he were president, only smart guns could be sold. And these were guns that would do a DNA test and a fingerprint test on you before the gun could be fired.
We should have smart guns. No gun should be able to be sold unless your biometric measure could pull that trigger.
He's living in a fantasy world. There's no such gun like that anywhere on the market on this planet. And if that technology did become available in the distant future, the cost of it would be many times what the average gun buyer could afford. But that's what the left wants. If they can't ban guns, they want to make guns too expensive for regular Americans to have them. In conclusion, we must never underestimate the left's capacity for tyranny. Recently, San Francisco declared the NRA to be a terrorist group.
San Francisco officials passing a resolution that labels the National Rifle Association as a, quote, domestic terrorist organization. And the city's Board of Supervisors, they're urging the federal government to do the same.
And where San Francisco goes, Democrat politicians usually follow. Don't believe me? Just listen to the Democrat presidential candidates on the campaign trail. They want to disarm you. And if you aren't willing to give up your guns, they will come and take them. At least Beto O'Rourke is honest enough to admit it.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
Remember, the only thing that can stop a bad candidate with lies is a good candidate with the truth. Know your facts and demand that your elected officials know them too. I'm Kris Kobach, and I approve this message.